Welcome back to another explainer. Today, we're turning our attention to something most of us literally never think about until it becomes an absolute disaster. I'm talking about the infrastructure buried right beneath our feet. We're going to be looking at a breakdown provided by Plumbing Jacksonville that details exactly what is actively happening underground in Baker County. So get ready for a really eye-opening look at the unique, unseen forces testing the homes and businesses in Macclenny, Florida.
Okay, let's dive into this. Have you ever been lying awake at night listening to a strange drip? Or maybe you noticed a weird wet patch in your yard and just thought, oh, please, not today. The reality is, plumbing disasters rarely happen overnight. They're usually the result of this slow, silent destruction happening completely out of sight. The stress of a hidden pipe bursting or a main line backing up is a universal homeowner nightmare, right? But instead of living in fear of the unknown, we're going to break down exactly what causes these failures and how you can spot them before they cost you thousands.
So here's our roadmap for today. First, Macclenny's unique environment. Second, common local plumbing problems. Third, decoding Florida plumbing codes. And finally, the professional repair process.
Starting with Macclenny's unique environment, and exactly why Baker County is just so tough on pipes.
Look, if you've been dealing with recurring plumbing issues in Baker County, the very geography is actively working against your underground lines. We've got a high water table and really sandy soil. And what does that mean for your pipes? Well, it means the ground shifts. It settles. And when the earth around a rigid sewer line or a water main shifts, eventually that pipe breaks. Add to that the heavy summer rainfall and the generally flat topography of the area. This flat terrain means water doesn't naturally run off easily, which puts immense stress on your home's drainage systems and drastically increases the risk of water intruding right through your foundation walls. It's essentially a slow-moving, invisible battle happening in the dirt around your house every single day. And this brilliantly illustrates how these environmental challenges change dramatically depending on your exact neighborhood. If you live in a beautiful older home near South College Street or the historic downtown, your battles are likely with aging galvanized pipes from decades ago that are rusting from the inside out, or maybe massive mature tree roots crushing your sewer lines. But what if you're in a brand new build-out off State Road 121? Well, you aren't immune. Those properties face totally different yet equally frustrating issues. Things like construction debris left inside the lines, or fixtures that were just installed improperly in a rush and are failing years before they ever should. Moving on to common local plumbing problems, or really, the symptoms of infrastructure failure.
Now that we understand the environmental pressure cooker your pipes are in, let's look at the warning signs. Knowing what to look for empowers you as a property owner. Your house will usually try to tell you it's sick before a full-blown emergency hits. So this is your rapid-fire warning list. Please do not ignore these symptoms. Rusty or discolored water when you turn on the tap? Yep, that's likely a 40 to 50-year-old galvanized pipe finally giving up the ghost. Hearing a weird gurgling sound from the toilet when you run the bathroom sink? That's a venting issue or a blockage deep down in the line. Unexplained wet spots in your yard during a totally dry week? You've got a hidden underground leak? Slow drains, or a sudden crazy spike in your water bill? Listen, these aren't just quirky features of your house. They are distress signals. Catching them early is literally the difference between a simple, quick repair and a catastrophic flood.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is a problem very specific to rural properties in the area: hard water. Hard water from local Macclenny aquifers is an absolute silent killer for your appliances. The minerals in this well water create heavy sediment buildup inside your water heater. It basically bakes onto the bottom of the tank, reducing your efficiency, causing those strange rumbling noises, and eventually it just eats right through the metal. Because of this, the typical lifespan of a water heater around here is only about 8 to 12 years. Then we have the ultimate anatomy of an underground disaster: tree roots. In established neighborhoods, roots naturally seek out moisture and nutrients. They find these tiny, microscopic cracks in older clay sewer pipes, push their way in, and then they expand. They essentially build a living dam inside your plumbing. And no, you absolutely cannot fix this with a cheap bottle of chemical drain cleaner. To properly identify the extent of root intrusion, a professional actually has to snake a high-tech video camera straight down into the sewer line to see the battlefield up close.
All right, let's decode Florida plumbing codes, which are, honestly, your shield against plumbing disasters.
To fix these issues safely, we have to look at Chapter 6 of the Florida Building Code. You've definitely seen that U-shaped curve under your sink, right? That's known as a trap. It isn't just some boring structural guideline. It's rigorously defined in the building code and is specifically designed to hold a small amount of water at all times. That water acts as a literal physical barrier that stops toxic, terrible-smelling sewer gases from flowing backward out of your municipal sewer and right into your family's living space.
So, the crucial point here is that some of these codes protect way more than just your house. Backflow prevention devices are mandatory for things like irrigation systems or commercial properties. If there's a sudden drop in water pressure in the city mains, dirty, non-potable water could actually get sucked backward into the clean drinking water supply. Annual backflow testing is required by code because it literally protects the health of the entire municipal water supply for all of your neighbors.
And this is exactly why DIY plumbing on major systems usually ends in tears. The code dictates everything, from the specific slope of a drain pipe to using approved materials like modern PEX tubing or copper that actually resists corrosion. If you, or maybe an unlicensed handyman, bypass Baker County Building Services and do unpermitted work, it will haunt you. When you eventually try to sell your home, unpermitted plumbing can completely derail or delay the entire closing process. Following the code protects your health for sure, but it also strictly protects your wallet and your real estate investment.
Which brings us to the professional repair process, specifically Titan Plumbing's 3-step solution.
When these older systems finally fail, how do the pros actually handle it? The source material from Titan Plumbing Jacksonville details their standard approach, and they really emphasize transparency as a core principle. Their documentation highlights that technicians arrive with fully stocked trucks to finish jobs in one single visit, providing upfront pricing without any hidden fees. You know exactly what it takes to restore your home before a wrench is ever even turned.
Let's see how this builds into a highly predictable 3-step process. Step 1 is contact and assessment. They don't just glance at the visible symptom. They use diagnostic tools to find the actual root cause. Step 2 is approval and repair. They explain all the options and the prices, you give the approval, and they fix it using those code-compliant materials we talked about. And finally, step 3, testing and completion. They run the water, check for leaks, and verify the drainage before they would ever consider the job totally done.
Because, let's face it, emergencies absolutely do not respect regular business hours. The source notes the vital importance of having a reliable contact. Titan Plumbing provides 24/7 rapid response for both the historic downtown of Macclenny and way out near the Nassau County line at 904-839-7199.
I want to leave you with this final, kind of provocative thought. Do you actually know what's hiding in your pipes right now? From root intrusions and rust to sediment and settling soil, the battle beneath your feet is constantly raging. Don't wait for a disastrous backup to force your hand. Go check your water pressure, keep an eye out for the warning signs we discussed today, and really consider being proactive about your plumbing. It is always cheaper and vastly less stressful to maintain your home's infrastructure on your own terms. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and keep learning.